want you to look at those words just a little bit differently. He says, I'm not enough. We're going to talk about that in Vayikra with a very small aleph. Unless you come, will you meet me here again? He's saying to us, am I not enough? Will you come? Because it's about drawing near. Remember, he's calling us. We're not calling him down. He's inviting us up. Will you meet me here? Will you meet me here? He's saying that. Will you meet me here again? Because all I want is all you are. Rick, Jackie, Hannah. Because all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again?
Yes.
And as I was praying, we're going to get into the message, but that Vayikra with that small aleph at the end of that word, which Vayikra means, and he called. And that small aleph, it's like if you're not listening, you almost don't hear the ah at the end. Now we Americans mess up the Hebrew language, but just say Vayikra. And it's barely there. But his soft, still voice, that quiet voice, that quiet voice is the one that calls out. When Moses was before the tabernacle and Yah is calling out from the tabernacle, and he says, and he called out, Vayikra, and he called out, and Moses' ears were tuned to the voice. Will you come and meet with me again? Moses, we were on the mountain. Now I don't have to be on the mountain anymore. I got a place. Will you meet with me again? We were at Sukkot, but now we're here in Amarillo at Life of Worship. And it's Shabbat, and he says, will you meet with me again? We met there, but we'll meet here. And I'm calling you out by name. Like Joy read earlier, I'm calling you out by name, one by one. And then we have a congregation. Then we have a body. Then we have a cohesive unit. Will you meet with me again? Praise you, Abba. Praise you, Abba.
Not enough unless you come. Would you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Would you meet me here again?
Abba, we've heard your voice. And you called out to us. You caught our attention. We heard our name. And now we're tuned in. We want to hear. Speak to us. Those words, those beautiful words, those lovely words, the words that are from your heart.
Yeah.
Reach out, pull us up as we extend our hand to you, Abba. Touch your children today.
Yes, yeah.
Touch your people today.
Yeah.
Praise you, Abba. What do you need right now? What is it that you've been crying out for? Just tell him right now. Tell him he's listening. He's listening. Tell him. Renew our hearts, Abba. Refresh us. Pour out the waters of purification on us. Let it spill over into our families and our work and wherever we go. We need healing, Father, in our bodies.
Yes.
We need things resolved. We need breakthrough, Father. We need changes. We need shifts.
Yes, yes.
We need atmospheres shifted.
Oh, Maria. Bless you.
And we just need that reassuring hand on our back that says it's going to be okay. We just reach out to you. In our hearts, in our eyes, in our ears, our thought processes, the scars. The things that cause us to put up walls and barriers that don't need to be there. Those things that hurt our love. Those things that cause us to be suspicious or look through cynical eyes and think what one person meant for one thing, we turn it around saying, I can't believe they said that to me. Father, the bitter roots that cause bitter hearing. Oh, Father, what is it that we need? What is it that you need? Just tell him.
I have a word, and it's really for my son, but I think that it applies to us right now. And it says, therefore, house of Israel, I will judge each of you according to his ways. Says Adonai Elohim, repent and turn yourselves away from all your transgressions, so that they will not be a stumbling block that brings guilt upon you. Throw far away from yourselves all your crimes that you have committed, and make yourselves a new heart and a new spirit. For why should you die, house of Israel? I take no pleasure in his death, in the death of anyone who dies, says Adonai Elohim. So turn yourselves around and live.
That's good. And what was that verse?
This is Ezekiel 18:30-32.
And we are.
Everyone to understand that for the sake of life and the unborn, that just because the Supreme Court overruled Roe versus Wade does not mean that there's not a battle anymore. The only thing it really, in fact, it took some of the power out of the fundraising for political campaigns. That's why it was never brought up. That's why it never made any changes since 1972 until recently they had the right court decision that worked its way up to the Supreme Court is because nobody wanted to do anything. They'll side on the platform for life, but not do anything about it because it raises a lot of money. That's the culture that we're living in. And we need to recognize that's the political climate that we have. And this is not to be political, but I'm just saying these are our realities. That's why prayer covers everything. Prayer breaks through. That's what broke through then. It's still a battle. This administration still wants to have federal laws. And we're just one Congress vote away. I'm telling you, literally one congressional vote away for this thing to flip. Because we're having a whole bunch of people with the R resign and leave office. And so that slim majority is down to one person. So these are things that are taking place, and you need to know, because every one of us has a voice and the opportunity to write our congressman to make sure that all areas are covered. But right here in Amarillo, I was at a meeting on Thursday morning, and I found out about it. I didn't even know this meeting was going on. And it's a breakfast meeting for the sanctuary city for the unborn. And it's the pastor's meeting. And I'm thinking, and I got to get there because I want to make sure that I can get a decent seat. And because I know there's like 300 pastors plus in Amarillo, 300. So senior pastors, but then how many associate pastors and youth pastors and pastors of this and that and the other here in Amarillo, Texas. And you think, well, a pastor's conference that, you think there'd be a few pastors represented? Do you know at this pastor's meeting for the sanctuary cities for the unborn, how many pastors were there?
5.
Try again.
3. 1. You?
I was the only pastor there.
Wow.
Now, there was a former pastor and his wife that was there. There was some laity that were there. The gentleman, his name's Alex, I can't remember his last name, who actually was the plaintiff in this Supreme Court lawsuit. He was there. I got to meet him. They brought in a guest speaker all the way from Abilene, and who was part of, he was a pastor that was spearheaded the Abilene deal. So to make that a sanctuary city for the unborn. Lubbock is the one that, when they passed that thing and made a city ordinance right away, it was quick, it was easy, it was no question. Abilene had a fight. We have a huge fight. And so we need to pray for the pastors of these congregations in Amarillo, Texas, and understand that this battle goes to the pulpits.
Needs to.
And I understand life's busy. Don't talk to me about your life being too busy. Life is very, very busy. But there's certain things that we have to make a stand on, and we have to decide on what are we going to do, and how do we make a difference? Because this is all about the preservation of life. That's what this week's Torah portion is about. It's about life. The death substitute. So I had a dream that woke me up this morning, and I've talked to you about dreams. How do you know that a dream is from Yah? You always put it to the test, but there's something about the dream that as soon as the key phrase or word is said, you wake up and you go, whoa, what was that? I want to tell you, I had one of those this morning when I woke up.
Ooh.
And it has to do with this very issue. And it's been something that I will have to admit, and I have to ask forgiveness for. I've sat on the sidelines because I'm pro-life, but somebody else can do it. I don't have time in my schedule for that. I don't, these are all excuses that I have, but there's other people, right? There's other people with bigger platforms. There's other people that have more influence.
But
And I woke up, and there's more to this dream, but I'm going to tell you the exact phrase. And that exact phrase that I heard, and I woke up and I was wide awake. I mean, I don't wake up well, but that word was, it's about the unborn. It's about the unborn.
This is I'm proud of you for going forward with what you're doing. This is an issue that, like you say, has been around for years and years and years. And I think some of these pastors, there are thousands and thousands and thousands, we don't even know the count, of abortions that have happened in the United States. But be careful, because there's women out there that haven't dealt with their gift. And you come in and you say you're a murderer, that's a turnoff. You're not going to win the public or whoever you're speaking to when you say you're a murderer. For one thing, nobody is without sin. Okay? Yes, it is an evil thing that has come down the pike over these years. And yes, it needs to be stopped. But be careful how you approach it. Think on it when you're talking about it. Because I guarantee you, probably in a group of 10 women, one of them's had an abortion. So think about what you say. But it needs to stop.
Yeah, so, and I don't think anybody would have that attitude around here, because we understand
Y'all
the heart
would,
cry.
but there are people like that.
There are people,
Yes.
but
And you won't win them over to
So-
want to talk about it.
so we are. I mean, it's a, how do we give voice to it? So anyway, okay, Rick. And I'll tell you, a lot of us have been personally touched in our lives by people close that have walked through it, and our hearts cry out, and we don't like to see that. And I'll even say this, I mean, even through miscarriage, I mean, it's, whether it's induced or it's just a natural thing, it's our hearts cry because of the unborn.
Isaiah was taken in spirit up to the throne room of God. The Lord revealed things to him there. And he made a statement to him. He's saying, "Whom shall I send?" And Isaiah said, "Here I am, Lord. Send me." We each need to stand before that
We'll stop.
statement right there and say, am I going to say, well, this is kind of hard. Maybe, I'm sure there's somebody that's got to do it. Or should we say, Lord, here I am, send me.
Amen. Brenda, one of the things that, I mean, I tell you this, those thoughts went through my head on Thursday morning. It's like, oh, I got so much on my plate. I really, maybe I shouldn't go, and I need to go. And I was like, I don't know anybody. And then I just think, what if I didn't go? I went to learn some things I really needed to know. And of all the different things, I walked in, and the first that greets me is Dennis at the UPS store that used to do all of our printing. And we'll probably continue to do printing but we were one of his first customers when he bought into the UPS store franchise. And so anyway, he greeted me at the door.
What I wanted to say is I think that maybe part of the reason that he is waking you up with this is because right here in our small group of people, you have got women and their husbands who have been there and have all of the fights that go against the main reasons for accepting abortions. The rape, the possibility of life loss, the possibility of major health issues, all of the issues that they say this is why it should be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
You've got people right here in this small group of people that have testimonies that can go opposite.
Yeah. Well, it's true. I mean, I'll just tell you this, Pastor Sandi, if she was here, she'd tell you, Yeah. I mean, Pastor Sandy had the opportunity. They said, you will never live through
Mom.
Jonathan.
They told Mom that about me too.
Yeah.
And I was raped.
Yeah.
And I have a wonderful, beautiful daughter.
Yeah.
I had another one who I got German measles while I was pregnant. And she was going to have all of these issues and all of this. And I mean, every reason that you can think of here in this place, we have got women and their husbands who can back up and say, this is why it's not acceptable.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Very good. So yeah, they said Sandy would not live through her pregnancy. Well, guess what? She's still around, and he's 35
Mom's still
In just-
around and I'm
in just a
65.
couple weeks. There you go. So anyway, so this is a big thing. That, I understand. A lot of people, and I'll tell you this. I mean, I talked to one lady. She said, "I didn't know, and I didn't know where to go to. So I went to one of those places, and they told me all of these different things, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess it would be okay then to do this." And she said, I was just young, and I was dumb, and I didn't understand, and I was a believer, and the way they were so convincing about it, it happened. And so we understand. And then there's a lot of reasons, but I'll tell you,
It's abuse.
but those are the ones that have the voices for themselves. But what about the child that they're carrying
Right.
that never had
It
the
needs
opportunity
to stop.
to say it?
It is an evil
So-
thing.
Those young women that have to live with that.
Yeah, then they have to live with those
They are
It
decisions.
breaks up families. It does all sorts of stuff.
If they are believers, then they have no, anyway, they
Yeah.
live with that.
Yeah, and those are the ones that double down, that are very ugly out there. But the Father can take their hearts and shift them, and
Yes.
and turn their whole
Prayer is
circumstances around.
Prayer is your main weapon.
Yeah.
But we've got a friend of ours that when she was younger, she had got pregnant, and then they advised her to get an abortion, so she did. And she has got some very serious psychological effects, even as an aged adult now. And it's a daily thing for her. She beats herself up wondering, what her child would have become and who her child was going to be. And they don't explain that a whole lot, that you don't hear about the psychological effects that are done on women who, when they're young, when they're, inexperienced, and they don't understand, they've not gone through the correct counseling, and they're not believers, they don't have the people to advise them. They don't understand the psychological damage that they've got to carry, not, 2 months, 3 months, 6 years, 20 years, 50 years, 70 years. Some of them, we've read case studies that are done on women that are in their 70s that are just mortified within themselves over what happened. They beat themselves up on a regular basis because of the psychological damage it was done. That is done. They wonder what happened, what could have happened had I not, made this selfish decision. If I'd made the harder decision, would the outcome been a whole lot better?
And there's two different spirits specifically that work alongside of each other. One is that spirit of deception. And then besides, you have others that go along with it, but that spirit of deception, very, very powerful. And then on the other side, and then it's the spirit of condemnation. And they go hand in hand, and it's a tag team.
I have an ex-sister-in-law that had one because the guy that got her pregnant, she found out after the fact that he was married, and he pressured her to get it because he told her the baby wasn't going to be normal.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
So men contribute to that as well.
I started to say it takes two to tango.
Yeah.
They
So,
contribute.
and I just think, I think we got a baby on the way. We have a granddaughter at 6, and
Hallelujah.
I'm thinking how precious life is. It's so precious. It's so precious.
Mhm.
And it's so fragile. It's very, very
We wouldn't have
fragile.
had worship today if we didn't have Jonathan.
We went to
I mean, we didn't have
I
had.
know, yeah, it would have had me to get up there. I don't have calluses anymore. My rhythm's off. So I would have had to be up there. We run a